Well, we finally have some Disney Plus numbers around Black Widow, and it looks like in total that the Black Widow standalone movie will be the worst performing Marvel movie in history, when adjusted for inflation, of course, since these movies have been coming out over a decade. And it's really an interesting case study, given that the movie itself is it's not bad. It's a fine movie. It's a fine Marvel movie. A movie that people were waiting multiple years for and braving various levels of restriction at local theaters to go see, or paying the exorbitant $30 to stream the movie at home. Numbers look bad. In fact, so bad that Disney is pushed forward the DVD release to try and recoup some of that money. Black Widow gets early digital release amid disastrous box office, as if we needed more evidence that Marvel's Black Widow is a huge failure. Following only being released for a month, Disney has given up on theatrical and Disney Plus release and has now released the flick early through digital on demand. The Marvel Studios film lands on digital today and 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray and DVD on September 14th is what they announced today. Price set at $30. Who that? $30 for a digital product? Please don't buy this. Black Widow opened in theaters and was released on Disney Plus on July 9th, but fans decided to not come out and watch the movie. The flick opened to $80 million, but its second weekend dropped a massive 67.8%, and the movie is presently the worst performing Marvel movie of all time, with a mere $350 million worldwide box office. This is a huge failure, and certainly Disney lost money on this. To boot, Disney also confirmed that less than 2% of its subscribers paid for Black Widow on Disney Plus. The Black Widow Rotten Tomatoes score stands at 80%, on par with Captain Marvel, The Avengers, Iron Man 3, Captain America, and Thor. As a result of performing box office, Scarlett Johansson has decided to sue Disney over releasing the movie on Disney Plus, which she claims is not what her contract said. And I've talked about this before. I wish her all the best in this suit. I don't care for some of the things she said, in particular about men, but I think she got the short end of the stick here in terms of Disney, and she should probably win this suit if everything is fair. But what's interesting to me is you end up with a worldwide box office of $360 million. Now, we don't know exactly how much money was spent on Disney Plus. We know it was at least $60 million. So you take that to, what does that take it to? $421 million total. I think we look at Black Widow streaming release cost her $50 million. The $200 million budget. So the budget was $200 million. So it's probably going to get close to breaking even. They had to market the movie twice, which means that the marketing budget was probably more than the traditional just double it to break even. But the idea that a Marvel movie would only be scraping by to break even is shocking even to me. However, today we do have some interesting information on the Disney Plus numbers to see just how it did. Exclusive Black Widow date reveals strong performance on Disney Plus ahead of company's Q3 earnings. Nearly 13% of people who joined Disney Plus during the Black Widow's debut also paid, just that weekend, also paid $30 to watch the film. That's a strong number. Now, we already know that number, because Disney came out and said that it was 60 million. The question is, how many of the existing customers? Marvel film Black Widow drove 18% more premiere data purchases than Mulan. I don't know that I'm necessarily surprised by that. Mulan, again, was another one of those films that, was released with the dual release, and it was also dropped at kind of the height of lockdowns. You see, Black Widow premiered on July 9th in both theaters and Disney Plus, where subscribers could stream the film for $30 premiere access fee. The entertainment giant has been offering premiere access and the $8 a month plus $30. According to Antenna, Black Widow drove 18% more premiere access purchases during its opening weekend than previous top performer Mulan. Again, percentage of what? We don't really know. I mean, we know that it's 18% more, but if one sold 100, that just means the other one sold 118. That's not, earth-shattering numbers. Antenna, which collects anonymous data about American spending habits through third-party email and budgeting apps, is also said that nearly 13% of people who subscribed to Disney Plus during the Black Widow's opening weekend ended up paying the extra $30 to watch the film the same weekend. Again, we don't know. Is it only 100 people that signed up? That's probably unlikely. Is it 1,000 people? Is it 10,000 people? If only 13% of 10,000 people bought it, that's only 1,300. We're not talking about massive numbers here, like box office saving numbers. While Black Widow drove more premium access purchases than Mulan, overall Mulan was more successful in attracting new Disney Plus subscribers. Well, again, there's lies, there's damn lies, and then there's statistics. Here again, can you for sure relate the two? I don't think so, because ultimately, Disney Plus is now much closer to saturation than it was then. So the overall growth really of all streaming apps has significantly slowed down. So, is that Black Widow's fault? I don't think entirely. This could be because many Marvel fans had already signed up for the service as well as Black Widow. Yeah, exactly. So, right. They pointed out what I just said. Disney, which reports fiscal third quarter earnings on Thursday, previously reported that Black Widow, which also stars Florence Pugh and Rachel Weisz and David Harbour, did $80 million at North American box office and grossed more than $60 million in Disney Plus Premier Access purchases as part of the $218 million opening weekend haul. That means there's about 2 million Disney Plus, nearly 104 million subscribers forked over an additional $30 to stream the film. That doesn't even sound like, that's actually pretty bad uptake if you think about it. That's only 2.5% of all of your existing customers paid. You just wonder is if that film was $20, could that have been 5%? Because you would have netted out higher revenue then. Disney's investors will be listening to Chapek's commentary around Black Widow's release when the company reports earnings on Thursday. Regardless of whether the executive touts the film's streaming performance, the numbers make a strong case for Disney to continue hybrid releases. Well, reality makes a strong case for Disney to continue with hybrid releases, because the more and more I cover this stuff, more and more I cover this space, the higher the percentage of people that I think are out there that will just never go back to the movie theaters. The performance of Black Widow has been the subject of intense scrutiny in Hollywood since Johansson filed a lawsuit, argued that the suit and her salary was largely tied to Black Widow's theatrical performance, which dropped a precipitous 67% in its second weekend, and Disney's strategy undermined that performance. Disney has not responded. Again, to put some of these numbers into context, 67% drop in weekend 2 is shocking, but most films still drop like 50%, 40 or 50% would be, reasonable. The company's Thursday update on Disney Plus subscribers is sure to draw attention. Growth slackened at less than 2-year-old streamer service over the first 3 months of the year, part of the industry-wide subscription sluggishness that also hit Netflix. Well, also remember that, people are going back to work, that you pulled ahead. People were early adopters of your service because they had nothing else to watch, and because you forced them by pulling programs like The Simpsons off Netflix or Hulu or wherever it was, and you pulled ahead when you started pulling programs, but now that's kind of slowed. The alternate ending, there was you wouldn't know it, to celebrate the beef between ScarJo and Disney. Black Widow just released on digital platforms. That means you can snag the film on iTunes, etc., without premium price tag on Disney Plus. It's still $30. If you buy Black Widow, you'll be treated to a deleted scene, which reveals an alternate ending to Natasha Romanoff's story. As the ending stands, we see Romanoff meet up with O.T. Fagbenellis? I don't remember. Rick Mason, sporting Captain America's Civil War haircut. Romanoff tells Mason that she's on her way to patch up the Civil War mess and goes away to her next adventure. The alternate ending revealed that Black Widow's digital release. Fans are saying that the deleted scene would have been much better fit for Black Widow for a good reason. We see a group of kids play pretending as the Avengers' makeshift hammers and arrows and all when Romanoff pulls up on a motorcycle. The block looks reminiscent to her old digs in Black Widow's opening, which would represent a beautiful full circle moment. The ending showing Romanoff returning home. At the end of the scene, a little girl walks up to the hero, gives her a game recognizes game smile, and shoots a pop of the finger gun. The moment is somehow both somber and beautiful, winking to how much it meant for IRL girls showing up watching Johansson as the only woman in the Avengers, spawning a new generation of female heroes like Brie Larson's Captain Marvel, Elizabeth Olsen's Wanda Maximoff. It's also a ripoff of the Rambo ending, but it probably would have been better. I don't disagree with that. It's interesting to see. I think we're in the new era here. I look forward to reading all your comments in the comment section down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.